Okay. So, last I left off, basically I've got entity selection. As long as they have a physics body and a cylinder collider, I can select. And I have free fly. It's been going for a while. This morning I adjusted some of the themes. So now it's this sort of plum color UI, which is still fairly neutral and I think looks nice. Yeah, and so before I finish so I can see now, actually, one thing that this interface is affording me already is that I can see that the velocity is constantly changing for the player character. And other positions changing. I can also see that the interpolation from the previous and next physics positions is looking nice and smooth, so that's good. The velocity is constantly changing, and to me it looks like it's constantly increasing. Maybe it's not. I can't 100% tell. Actually, it looks like it's kind of going down now. In any case, the player character is getting a weird aberrant velocity they should be getting from I don't know what. And this is the bug that set me off down this path of like, okay, I want to have a thing that allows me to step through the physics, one physics frame at a time, and just see what appears to be causing this weird velocity problem. May actually not be an incredibly helpful tool for this, but I think it will be. Either way, it's something I need. And so I needed a raycast. I made the raycast so that I can make the UI, so that I can make the UI for seeing, like, displaying and potentially changing values on the entity. And then also, I don't know where the physics stepper button will go. I haven't really decided on that. It'll probably just go in a little window right now. But in any case, either way, right now I'm going to go ahead and finish making this thing that it's a procedure that creates generically creates a sort of interface like this out of a struct by recursively diving into it and seeing what the types are of the fields, which is going to be pretty valuable in general. So that's what I'm doing right now. And to start, we're going to listen to a Patricia Taxon album I have not heard yet. What is half my resolution? 2560 divided by 2. say. It's a little bit less than that. That's good. A little bit less height. Okay.
picture in my head. The faded Polaroid sits proudly in my grasp. Its plain old little frame has aged far past the age that it would be replaced. But there are no picture frames in space. I saw the most beautiful sight. I came up to Saturn's rings and flew right on by the side. I don't want to sound too saccharine, but I couldn't help but be reminded of your eyes. You know I always try. When each star looks just like the next, it all just feels so blue. All these light years that I travel, I still travel without you. Galaxies all around me, they all glitter with a passion. They say, hold on boy, one day you'll be back home. I lay surrounded in black sky, lost for all eternity, but time still moves on by. The brilliant comet's tails are still so gallantly bright. I could cry. There's no place to wipe my eyes. The vessel I reside in isn't fixed. These walls I swore were parallel now skew aside like this. But perhaps I might be seeing things. I've been alone so long I can't be sure. You would tell me what's wrong. When each star looks just like the next, it all just feels so blue. All these light years that I travel, I still travel without you. Galaxies all around me, they all glitter with a passion. They say, hold on boy, one day you'll be back home. When each star looks just like the next, it all just feels so blue. All these light years that I travel, I still travel without you. Galaxies all around me, they all glitter with a passion. They say, hold on boy, one day you'll be back home. When each star looks just like the next, it all just feels so blue. All these light years that I travel, I still travel without you. Galaxies all around me, they all glitter with a passion. They say, hold on boy, one day you'll be back home. When each star looks just like the next, it all just feels so blue. All these light years that I travel, I still travel without you. Galaxies all around me, they all glitter with a passion. They say, hold on boy, one day you'll be back home. When each star looks just like the next, it all just feels so blue. All these light years that I travel, I still travel without you. Galaxies all around me, they all glitter with a passion. They say, hold on boy, one day you'll be back home. When each star looks just like the next, it all just feels so blue. All these light years that I travel, I still travel without you. Galaxies all around me, they all glitter with a passion. They say, hold on boy, one day you'll be back home. When each star looks just like the next, it all just feels so blue. All these light years that I
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, no. Hmm. Uh, figured out how to set the memory view. Dedicate address bar. No. nice. Oh wow. Oh wow, that was really nice. Holy crap. Huh. It's cool. I probably shouldn't play this. Hey, Massive Melt, if you're still here, what's going on? Yes, sir. Cool. Yep. I'm just debugging debugging this really cool problem where I have I'm just trying to have a readout here for all the physics data of an entity, and it's reading data from the wrong place. So just trying to figure it out. Alright. Let me get down to... This debugger is kind of buggy though. Yeah. Where is it, the debugger? Yeah, I think it is. So you're looking for ground deceleration multipliers. It's wrong. It's in the wrong place. Alright, spot. That's weird. Oh, whoops. I was just using the wrong. I was just calling the wrong thing. So. That's silly. That immediately makes more sense. How's the job search been going? Oh, sorry, I don't know how long ago you asked that. Well, so there were just this string of like kind of interviews I had with kind of high profile companies that, you know, I actually really wanted to work for. And basically, what happened a lot was I got pretty far in the process, or I made it to the end of the process, and you know, if I was able to ask somebody like, "Hey, do you think what's your impression of me? Do you think I'm fit for the job?" They basically say like yes. They might say like, "Oh, there's this weak point here, weak point there," but like, yeah, you could do the job, or at least I would get the impression that that's true. Just because the interviews tended to go really well. But the thing is, it seems to be like I've kind of made myself a little bit of a generalist, and at least in video games right now, it doesn't seem like they're hiring as many generalists as they used to. So that combined with the bad video game and job market has made it, not great. Yeah. Like, apparently tech jobs are coming back, like a lot of hiring is happening. I don't know if the same thing is happening in video games, but the problem I see with video games that you might have noticed if you're looking is that, it just seems like a lot of senior jobs. I think you'll move to software. I was thinking about it just because we have a lot of debt and software jobs pay better. But the thing with software jobs is like the recruiters have this like checklist, like, have you done distributed computing? Have you worked on like servers? Are you like a web programmer? Do you know like Next.js and all this stuff? And it's just a lot of things I haven't done before. There's a lot of jobs that I could do, but like the recruiters don't know that. And then I get past the recruiter and the team isn't interested because I don't have experience at like Google Meta or Facebook, whatever. There's so many people available, like in the tech job pool. Applied for 3 junior jobs at Larian this morning, and they're the first I've seen over a year. Yeah, it's rough. But I mean, 3, that's pretty nice. So I guess maybe it's increasing. Maybe some money's coming back into games. Wish you the best. Sending good job energy your way, I guess. But to more directly answer your question, I haven't really been applying to work for the past week or so, just because, we're still looking out for jobs that would work better, but we've sort of narrowed the scope of like, well, we'd prefer it to be either remote or, nearby. Standout, I think Sven is just great. Yeah. I mean, they take Dungeons and Dragons, which is already like one of the best games of all time, and they just turned it into a video game perfectly. So yeah, no complaints here. I think they obviously have like a pretty winning approach. It's pretty awesome. I mean, shoot, I'd work there for sure. Let's see. I was gonna ask if you think about moving country to Canada or something. It would be a little bit hard just because my partner kind of needs to work in the States, and like for her to move outside of the States would be a lot harder. She's a remote, like a telehealth therapist, so she's like licensed to work in certain places, and like every time she moves, the tax situation changes, and working out of the country is actually I don't think allowed. I don't really know exactly how it works. I just remember that it's complicated. So it's, at least for now, it's kind of out of the question. So yeah, unfortunately. Yeah. It's a cool job. It's definitely kind of. Let me turn the music down a little bit. I would say emotionally exhausting is what I would call that job. But I mean, because you listen to people and help them solve their emotional problems all day. And if you've ever tried actively listening to somebody for an hour straight, I mean, I don't think most people can do it. For me, it would not be a cool job, but for her, I think it's a cool job because she's a cool person. Yeah, very hard. Let's see, why move from nursing to programming? Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. You're less in the direct to. You don't have to what's it called? You have to do a lot of face-to-face with customer stuff. I always hated those jobs. Are you still in school? How's that going? Yep, okay. How much more time do you have left? One more year, just finishing internship now. Okay, cool. Wait, who's the internship with? I think I remember reading on LinkedIn or something, but I forget. No luck with summer internships, dang. That's tough. I bet a year from now things will be a lot better though, because let's see, BR company called Mercis. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Private training stuff. Oh, okay, interesting. Like health training or like military training. I know there's a lot of money in like military VR. Not like for the employees necessarily, but definitely a lot of money moving around in that space. But yeah, I was gonna say, I think the job market will probably be better in a year. It's the same kind of thing, but mainly medical. Yeah, so like medical and military, those are like the two main training things that they use for VR. That's cool. Ireland very unmilitarized. Yeah. For no reason at all that we'll be talking about. There's some history there. But yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think the job market will be better a year from now. I mean, of course I don't know. It could get worse, but right now feels like kind of a reckoning. And I think AI funding is actually starting to slow down. So that's kind of a good sign for video games. The big AAA studios still have to figure out like how they're going to like continue to fund these massive projects. I think probably it would be smarter for them to just do smaller projects, but you know, obviously they were kind of blindsided by the current state of things, and just like had to close down tons of studios, and that probably costed a lot of money. So I'm wondering what the recovery is going to look like, but maybe a year from now, it'll start to look better. You know, we'll see. I don't think I want this to be a drop down. So I'm kind of focusing on tooling and UI programming instead of general game dev, because I can easily apply to any .NET position software companies. I tried agentic coding. So tooling and UI programming is good. They're actually the first company I interviewed with wanted a UI programmer, but then there was Support Studio to Riot, and Riot actually stopped developing the game. It was like a live support game. They stopped developing the game like right after, like a month later. So I think that position actually got removed. Have I tried agentic coding? Yes. I do a lot of like, so I do a lot of like rubber ducking with Claude, and it often just answers my questions. And as far as like agentic coding, where it like actually codes for me, that's pretty limited for me. Like I get it to write scripts that I don't want to write. I get it to solve like very limited problems, like, you know, within this part of the file, within this scope, like just fix this problem for me, sort of thing, because I've been working at it for 5 hours and I'm tired of it. I basically think of it like, if you like puzzle games, I think of, you know, coding like playing a puzzle game. That's the thing that I want to do. So even if an AI were better at it, I don't know how much better it is at, you know, I know that the people who try to code, like, who try to just get it to code for them, you know, completely have a kind of hard time managing it once it gets really complex. But like, let's say it's like way better than me. Let's say it's already like generally just incredible at coding, and I'm just obsolete. You know, I still want to play the game. So I spend my time doing what I want to do. And then sometimes in puzzle games, I get tired of trying to figure out the solution to a problem, and I'm like, I'll just go look it up, right? And so it's great for that, and it's great for stuff that I want to do. Like, I'm not interested in this little like bonus quest. I'll just have it do this thing for me, right? So that's how I kind of think of it, coding for me. I use OpenCode with their Go sub, and it's pretty cool. Web coding is fun, but that falls apart after a week. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of neat what people who have never written a line of code can do with it. But like, I'm less on the side of like, is it useful? Because like, obviously it's useful. I'm less on the side of arguing against it being useful, and I'm more on the side of like, I just don't use it nearly as much as I might, just because it's, you know, I want to do this, not, I don't want to have a thing do it and like watch it happen. You know, that's not fun for me. But if you're more just like on the developer side of things, and you're less interested in all of like the deep details of engineering, it might be like better to just have it code more for you. I don't know. I've just played around with some website stuff, since a lot of positions require you to know how to work with it. All the vibe code stack, I don't know. I don't plan on learning. I see. Okay. I'm curious, like, what, you know, what the job market looks like for juniors who like don't really know anything about what they're doing. Like I've read stuff on Reddit where people where like on our experienced devs where people are like, some of these juniors like have no idea how to read a call stack or have no idea how to like read their own errors or whatever, and they just always feed it into Claude and have Claude fix the problem. I mean, if it works, it works, but I'm curious how easy it is to get hired if like that's all you're doing. It feels like, if the bar is, let's see, yeah, I think it depends on the quality of the company. Yeah, I mean, true. I think right now a lot of companies are learning that like they need higher standards, though, to be honest. I mean, seen lots of devs now talk about detecting AI slop. Yeah, I mean, like a lot of repeated code. Like I think the biggest factor that I've noticed is just that it bloats the program. Like, it'll make your programs about 10 times larger than they need to be, which, I'm not. I don't want my programs to be that, so that's definitely one thing I don't like about it. But, like, I had Claude write like 2 whole Python scripts for me just to like get stuff from Blender, like get meshes from Blender into my program or into my game and back, just because I didn't want to do that. So it's like really good for stuff like that. I've only used it for 2-ish months, but my slop radar is pretty good. Plenty of quick giveaways. I probably don't have a very good slop radar because I try not to. I don't read a lot of AI code. Like if I have AI code something for me, it's going to be like, please code this whole file. I don't even want to look at it. It's just one script that does like this one specific task, like kind of outside the engine, or kind of like part of it, but it's you know what I'm saying, like importing a mesh, right? Or exporting a mesh from Blender. Just like something I don't really want to learn how to do. Yeah. That way, so that does one thing. One, it gets the task out of the way for me, and 2, it doesn't really like infect the rest of my work that I want to keep, mine. If I just like say, okay, you can work in this file or you can work within this block, then it stops it from. It makes it so I still understand all of my code. I just don't. I intentionally don't understand those sections, and I have Claude work on those things. That's pretty much. That works for me, anyway. Alright. I'm gonna. So I don't want this to be a drop down. It doesn't really make sense to me. Also, let's see. think I should just have like a left panel that's just like resizable or hideable, and this should just be collapsible within that panel. And it probably shouldn't auto resize because that might be kind of annoying, but I don't know. It would be nice if it really kind of responsive and tried to like squeeze stuff a little bit. I don't think that would be that hard. Except no, I think iMGUI already does that pretty well. So we could have one. How'd you make the debug thing? Is that an iMGUI UI? Yes. Yeah. So whenever I have an entity selected, this procedure gets called, dev GUI draw entity panel. Entity gets fed in. We see what type it is, and then we call display destructive interface, which here just calls build dev interface, just to pass through, which if you're using, like, I don't really know what like C# or those languages are like with this, like what kind of reflection they have, but basically it's passing in the entity struct. So what that looks like. So like entity base is this struct. And then, like, a camera has all of this stuff on top of also being entity-based. That's kind of like an inheritance thing, but it's a little bit different. Player character does all this stuff aside from being entity-based, right? And so it just recursively searches over the struct, and so for member and tnflow.members, we're asking, like, what are all the members of the entity struct, and looping over all of them. If it's a pointer, we do some special things here. If it's the enum, if it's enum, we do this thing. If it's enum flags, we make a bunch of checkboxes. If it's like a 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 counting up enum, make a drop down right here. If it's a struct, if it's a field, so for example, we go to follow offset here on the camera as a vector 3. If we got to that point, we'd say, okay, the field is a vector 3. We're going to make an input float 3, which is just like an XYZ. It has 3 input float fields. And we're going to point at the field and say, so you can change the X, Y, and Z values. And it gets the name, which is follow offset. So it's like a label, right? And then if it's none of these things, it recurses, it dives deeper, and it dives into that struct, calling this procedure again, doing the same thing over again with all of its members. This is like a thing that would be much harder with like C++. Actually, C++ lately wouldn't be so bad with C. But basically with C and C++, you have to like build a lot of features for yourself to allow you to do this, because they don't really reflect, like, inspecting a bunch of data about the type, about the like the struct types, is not something they historically do very well. but this language is kind of made for it. So it like building like any interface out of a struct is just done with this one procedure, which is about 100 lines. So not bad, right? And let's see if I side by side. So if I select this entity, right, it's an obstacle, so it has a base, and physics. It also has static meshes, but I haven't made it so that it shows arrays yet. So you go click base, scroll up to base here, it has a ref, base flags, position, quaternion, trace channel, so just properties is physics, so it goes to a physics body, which is defined elsewhere. But yeah, here I can change all these values as well. It's not really super useful now, but it will be very soon. But yeah, so I can show you. Let's set the position. Yeah, position. So here, yeah. So I moved it. There. Works. And I should be able to drag these. I'm gonna look up how you do that. I think maybe I have to add sliders underneath it or something. Or I might have to make like a custom input field. It's called a drag float. Drag float 3. Apparently so. Physics. Yeah, I can drag it up and down. That's pretty cool. So I can go here. Position. Oh, moves really fast. Need to make the increment smaller. Probably have like a way to scale it up and down. This is fine. Okay. Probably an input string thing, except that would. That's kind of messy. I don't like that. I don't think any of these. I don't think I have any strings in here. See, for orientation, for like quaternion, you probably actually want to see the Euler angles or something. Rather than the quaternion itself. I think I have two Euler angles as a math procedure. Two Euler. Pretty sure I need that. What is this? It's garbage. Spoiler oil clock. Should do it. Might have some quirks. The active orientation. Should. Oh, should it? No, it shouldn't. Scan is. Oh, that's. What? I think maybe. Weird. Maybe it's a problem with how I'm applying transformations actually. Cause it seems fine. It's staying consistent. I guess I'm not. Permanent scale. Okay, let's see. It should be.
Yeah, I'm just modifying it on order.
Wait, where was that? Maybe. One second. No, I don't think that's right.
Don't know. Let's see what the math is doing. Modify, yeah. Modify, but also, and you know, this is working fine, this is working fine. But I found a weird issue where orientation and scale are not working correctly. And I don't understand why. I've done transform matrix debugging before, and it's maybe my least favorite thing to debug. You just have to like every transformation you have to like check it, make sure it makes sense, understand what all it means, and then move to the next one. It's just not very fun. Physics is one of those. Physics is. I'm not in love with video game physics, like programming it. I like it sometimes, but like, it's one of those things you have to so aggressively optimize that. I don't know how to put it. It's just like to solve these actually pretty hard problems that are really, really easy to put bugs into, and then you can optimize them really hard at the same time. It's like, it's cool when it works. When it doesn't work, it gets really frustrating. Sometimes you're not sure if you have like a bug or if it's just like, it's the limitation of implementation. Havoc are Irish, which is cool, but never try to play them. Dude, I wouldn't either. I don't know physics that well. I know physics enough to make it so that, you know, that stuff bumps into each other. That's about it. That was cool. I didn't know they were Irish. I feel like a character in a movie. We get this stupid transform issue. Why now? Why now? I'm So there is a boundary flip issue here. Maybe they're not good. Maybe it's not a good quaternion. Let's see. That's like the first thing to look at, right? Maybe it's easier than. No, that doesn't make sense. Bad quaternion. Don't think that result in like a scale issue. It clearly looks like scale and orientation are not being applied in the right order. But they are. Maybe, actually, you know what? I think I maybe know the problems. You know, here's a problem I actually don't want to work on. Let's try to get Claude to fix it. Not super excited about this one. Actually, one thing to check before I do this.
Alright, so you got a thing that was decomposing a matrix, a transform matrix, into its like position, rotation, scale that I made. That's wrong. Shock and surprise. Well, I fixed it though, and so now, yeah, I can rotate stuff. And it won't be broken. And I'm gonna leave it there and eat some lunch, take a break, and then come back a little bit. Yep. Alright, Sean, we'll talk to you later. Hope you're having a good day, by the way.